Hello and happy Monday. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Neil. How are you both?
Good.
Very well, thank you.
Great to be back with you. Creative Amplifiers are bi-weekly. Bi-weekly? Bi-monthly. See, even at the beginning, I don't even quite know what's going on. Bi-monthly show. It's great to be here. And already we have no one else other than... Yay, Marcus. Thank you so much for being here. As always, really appreciate you stopping by. We're just getting ready for the quiz. Maybe you've been doing a bit of prep. Maybe you've had a few things going on which is going to be able to support that, which is good. Really still been enjoying all of your content through all of April. So yes, appreciate all the work you're putting in on your behalf as well. So yeah, great work there. So what have we been up to then? Lisa, you've had a little bit of a field trip, am I right?
I had a field trip. It was my birthday like a week ago, which was great. And I went out to Napa and enjoyed the grapes.
In its truest sense.
I enjoyed the
Just
grapes of
them.
Napa. But no, it was a really nice, relaxing time. And so yeah, I celebrated my birthday and it was good.
Very nice. And Neil, what have you been up to?
Enjoying a little bit of the sunshine that's been here in Portugal recently, but also been playing with the Zoom integration that Ecamm has just released sort of a week ago now in the beta version. So it's been fun just playing around with that, some things to work out. But yeah, exciting stuff around technology. You know, I like a bit of that. But other than that, all good. Thank you.
All good. Brilliant. And so speaking of Ecamm related stuff, we should probably make sure that we've covered this. Tickets go on sale in just over a day for Creator Camp 24. Now, how exciting is this? And Marcus, are you thinking of going? Let us know in the chat if it's on your agenda. I know you said you thought you might be when you were on the show a couple of weeks ago, but yes, I think we're looking forward to going and visiting Boston, having another time. Really looking forward to I really enjoyed my first time in Boston there before. So was it your first time, Neil? Or have you been to Boston before?
Yeah, my first time too. It was great. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
And Lisa, you've probably been there multiple times as you basically travel everywhere all the time.
Travel all everywhere all the time. Yeah, it was good. And we actually hit good weather while we were there. It was pretty lovely. So, and thank you, Marcus, for the birthday wishes. I just saw that pop up.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Fantastic. Good. So for those of you that are watching live, we're going to bring on our guest very shortly. I keep meaning to say this every week and I always forget. But if you want to ask a question, just put it in the chat and we'll sort of field those as we go through. But yeah, feel free to add them in the chat as we go through and we can ask those. We have our own, obviously, thought through ideas and a few questions as well, but we like one to sort of be able to sort of come against some of the things that we've heard, but also make sure you're involved as well. So, and yes, Marcus, I will be there. Fantastic. Great. We'll look forward to seeing you there at the same time. So today we are absolutely thrilled and delighted to have Fludd with us, and he's going to be talking about all the things that he's been doing through his background, and I know he's also been doing a little bit of that Zoom integration as well with Ecamm. So without further ado, here we are.
Hey. Hello, Lion. Welcome to the show. Oh, I think you may be on mute. We can't hear you.
Nah, I'm kidding. I just wanted to do that.
Oh, that's funny.
That is great.
That's great.
Love it. Love it.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Lion. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. Throws me every time. I love your Be Right Back screen as well. I must employ that on some of our shows. Love it. And it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today. As Marcus mentioned, we have about 325 questions for you today, so I better start running through them, but it's a pleasure. So first off, we wanted to talk about we've been trolling and looking at your stuff on the interwebs, and your bio mentions that you graduated from School of Hard Knocks. And can you share a particularly challenging experience and how it transformed you into sort of what you do today? And how does that sort of inform your content in what you do?
Yeah, wow, you guys have really been working. Okay. So I would probably say an experience that I relate to that hard knock statement is learning to be who I am. For an example, previously on this last episode, I used to be a magician, okay, in Las Vegas. And when I first went into that industry, I didn't have anyone to pattern myself after because there are not a lot of black magicians. So I tried the top hat and the glasses and being sophisticated. And then it was not me. People could read through who you are. So I didn't get a lot of jobs and appearances. And then finally I was like, let me just be who I am. And people started relating to me. So life just said, look, stop pretending, be who you are, knocked me down, and I was able to get back up. So I think that's my answer to that question. I just had to learn to be who I am.
And did you do many different performances? And was there a specific, I'm intrigued now, a very specific speciality trick that you learned and you were good at? Or were you a card magician, or were you sort of, sleight of hand? What type of things did you do?
Oh man, you just got me excited. Hold on. All right, let me break it down for you. So when I first got into the industry of magic and learning, and I'll tell you a little tidbit as well. Most people don't know. In America, when you ask people, or even around the world sometimes, you ask people who is the first known magician, most people are going to say Harry Houdini. And this is factual. People can look this up themselves. But the first American magician was actually a black male. His name was Richard Potter. He was an African American male who performed together. And this is what got me intrigued, because in the history books and so forth, they would show him and white people and black people in the audiences back in 1700s sitting together watching magic. So that's the power of that magic. But my specialty, as I started to learn, was hustling. And that's why my brand kind of stands out like this. And what that meant was I used to be, when I was a kid, one of those people you would see doing the 3-card Monty and stuff, literally, where I would literally be doing it to hustle and get money. And I learned to pickpocket, literally. I didn't know later on that was part of the magic world, but I started incorporating that into my shows, and that's what I started doing, actually.
Wow. So are you planning to go to Creator Camp this year? Because I'm going to stay away from you. I'm just kidding. Just watch what's in the pockets. I'm just kidding. You can do some tricks there if you're doing.
I'll tell you a real short story of what changed my world. Because I was hustling, right? There was a time, 14 years old, it was in NYC, New York, and an officer came and he booked me up. He handcuffed me, walking me towards the car. And when he got to the car to open the door, I reached out and I said, I got that for you, sir. I had picked the lock by the time we got to his car. He took me in, bought me a sandwich, gave me a good chewing out. And then ever since then, I was on a straight path.
Wow. That's incredible. Okay. I'm not sure how to follow that one. I'm going to take you back a little bit then. So you were in the military for some time, and your journey from the military to podcasting is really intriguing. So what pivotal moment made you realize that sort of podcasting was your calling? And obviously you have a podcast called Redesign Your Life. How did that come about?
It was a transformational kind of thing. I didn't initially start with Redesign Your Life. I started in the business aspect of it because after I retired from the military, I started my own business and kind of went down that journey. But as I talked about it and would bring guests on, it wasn't a passion for me. I was not excited about it. So I said, let me find something different. And Redesign Your Life came out of a necessity because I had to, in turn, learn to redesign my life. I was diagnosed with MS, and it was a whole ball game, head swinging thing. And I had to learn to walk different, talk different, eat different, just everything. So that's where my passion started going. And then Redesign Your Life was born.
And then, did that lead you then into creating the VCA Academy? Because that's all about helping content creators and building a community and supporting everybody else. So tell us a little bit about sort of the history behind setting that out. Because you had a podcast first, right, for quite a bit of time, and then Then
Correct.
VCA Academy sort of spawned out of that later.
Yeah. As I was doing the podcast, I am like a serial entrepreneur. I think that's just my ADHD brain, right? I start something, I accomplish it, and I'm like bored with it. I'm like, okay, let me move to the next thing, right? And so um, there was a time where once the kind of pandemic and everything started happening, I would just start creating graphics. I was creating things for friends, associates, and then my beautiful, brilliant, intelligent wife said to me, "You know what? You need to start charging people." And I was like, "Oh, what a great idea. I'm glad I thought of that." So I then started going down this BCA road because people were doing just regular Zooms, regular meetings. And it really was like that Ferris Bueller moment where he's like, Bueller, Bueller. And I was like, there it is. That was the problem I needed to solve. How to keep people engaged when they were watching meetings. And that's where VCA came from.
So tell us a little bit about what you do in the VCA Academy and sort of how do people get involved and how many people have sort of are in the academy now and do you typically go live? Do you post sort of content regularly on there and newsletters and things like that? I'm just interested in how you just start that academy and how you grow your audience.
Yeah. So it took me a while to kind of get the idea and narrow it down because again, I'm not as business savvy as a lot of people, but I am a hustler. And officially, let me show you guys. I was granted, my hustling belt.
Wow.
I am a
That is
hustler,
huge.
baby. My world championship belt, right? So, and what I
Wow.
mean by that is I'm not as elegant in the marketing department and so forth, but I know how to hustle. I know how to grind to get things. So as I started within this VCA Academy, I kept thinking, well, what name do I need to find to kind of narrow it down so people know what VCA does or what I do within it? And so I came up with I am a virtual image consultant. Right? Sounds elegant. Yeah. So I help people with their backgrounds, with their videos to kind of give it that feel of a studio appeal. Right? You don't watch one of the David Lettermans or Jay Leno and it's just a boring studio, right? They have it set strategically for certain purposes. And inside of the VC Academy, we have a great community of people who help each other out. They will post videos and they will critique each other in a positive way, in a positive manner. And it's all about helping and helping each other grow. And so that's the one thing I'm really proud of that. We've had some hundreds of students come through and hundreds of people come through and alumni. I'm sounding all like I have run a college or something now. But yeah, that was the whole thing for me and how I was going to get people in there to help them create the image. And I can actually even give you an idea of that if you or your viewers want to see that.
Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I myself would love to start a petition to get rid of virtual backgrounds. So if anyone wants to sign a petition so we can make that illegal, please let's do it. No, but those virtual backgrounds where people fade in like Patrick Swayze, I hate those. 99% of people, though, when they see my background, ask me, hey, your virtual background is not, making you fade in. Here's the secret. It's not a virtual background. Watch this and prepare to be blown away. Look at that. Look at it. Yes, right? I heard a gasp from someone just now, right? It is simply a photographer's backdrop, a canvas. And I got two thumbtacks. I put it up against a white wall, and now my virtual space just looks like I'm in some Italian island sitting in a mansion somewhere holding an interview.
I mean, I thought it was your house, technically speaking. But I mean, I love that because I know people do green screen and there's a lot of things about green screen. I'm not a massive fan of green screen myself. And I think that looks a lot more professional. You can light it better and you can do what you want. You don't get any of that shimmering behind it. Anyway, Thank you so much for that. It always wows me. I know Mark had a follow-up question for you.
Yeah, I was just going to sort of follow up and say one. I love that. It's great to sort of see behind, and you sort of mentioned the sort of the look of it and the overall feel of it. How much do you kind of then sort of expand that in terms of the audio and the sort of the content around it? How sort of niche are you? Is it just what it looks like, or is it kind of much more that overall experience?
So for me, I love sharing with people, and thanks for that question. I love sharing with people that say, hey, you have to do what you work best for you. This is my personality. I'm big, I'm bold, I'm going to bring the belt out, I'm going to, champion everything, right? But yes, you want to brand it and make it kind of feel more towards you. So I don't like to put myself in that one box. Actually, I have 3 of them underneath this. So if I feel different one day, I just take the thumbtacks down, and then the wood paneling comes next after this one is down, right? But then I also like to say, for example, like my mic cover, right? It's a colorful kind of pop, but that works for me. It works for everyone. So we want to kind of form it to what works best for you. Even to the point where, like my wife, she assists me out a lot of time on mine, and I'll show you guys like this. So this is my other mic. This is a pink one. Mine is magenta, right? Oh wait, purple, magenta, whatever. You see that they're different colors. So, but I hope that answers the question, that it's ever evolving and moving. I don't keep it like this one may change here in about 3 or 4 weeks, for an example.
Interesting. So you keep mixing it up, and the microphone you mentioned, is that for your wife because she does a podcast as well with you, or is that just for you because you just want to mix and switch it up?
No. So that's hers, and occasionally
Okay.
I may have an in-person guest, and I'll just have that for them as well. But no, that's for
Right.
her, and she has a podcast as well. My son has a podcast as well, so he's 10.
Oh, cool.
But yes,
Oh, wow.
that's her, and this one is mine. Yeah, we're a podcasting family. We were actually featured on NBC Nightly News and the Today Show, which are really huge viewing, I forget, TV shows, news shows here in America. NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, and also the Today Show did an article and write up on us, and NBC News had us on their station.
Fantastic.
And I'm a huge Today Show fan. That's my morning. That's how I start my morning. So congratulations on being on that. So just to segue in, you brought up your podcasting family and your son's out there at 10 years old doing things that a lot of people are afraid to do, which is brilliant and amazing. You wrote that you're really driven about making a generational impact, which obviously with your son, you're doing so. So could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and that's probably my heart like there. That I wanted to change the way, number one, I looked at things, because a lot of times I would hear this terminology. People would say, it's a generational curse. And I said, no one took Eye of Newt, a frog's leg, put it in the cauldron and stirred it up and put a curse on us. It's generational choices, right? And so I wanted to choose to make something different, starting with myself and my son. And for example, I tell him, come talk to me. When I was young, I couldn't cry. My dad, don't cry, especially in the Black culture, right? No, I want to tell my son, come talk to me. What's going on today? Cry. Now wipe your tears and let's figure out a solution. He knows that he has space and room to tell me something, so he doesn't feel afraid. I can't tell dad that, or this something happened. So my wife and I made that choice that we wanted to change the way we approached him. And that kind of spawned into other things in life, right? I wanted to show the culturistic people that there is more than just being a basketball player, being a sports player. You can be more than that. There's pride in being a scientist. There's pride in graduating at the top of your class instead of thinking, oh, well, you know what? I can't be a nerd, as some people may say. I love being a nerd, but whatever. Right? So.
Do you have a foot pedal there with your Stream Deck?
That's so funny.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
do you know the funny thing is? Sorry, Lisa. It was just the fact I was just looking at my stream deck, going, "What did I press? I can't believe I did that." And then it was like, "That's not even the one we have."
I was thinking, yeah,
you,
is that a new one that Mark's got? That's so funny. That's
he's
so
got a
funny.
foot pedal down there, something going on. I think that's beautiful that you are trying to break a generational cycle of madness, I'm going to call it, that doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And that you're setting an example for your son and for others, of all ages. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that is wonderful. And you are a passionate storyteller. So what do you believe is some of the most essential elements in crafting a compelling story that will resonate with your listeners, particularly if you're obviously doing the spoken word with podcasts and things like that? You got any thoughts on that?
It is a book. It is a movie. It is a whole bunch of things mosh posh together, right? You have to start on that passion and that journey of saying, I'm writing my movie, I'm writing my book. I am painting a picture for the people who are either listening or watching. Example, when I started talking about what you just asked, my voice lowered. I slowed my pace down. It draws the listener in. These are things you can pick up from movies and all kind of film, and you'll learn it. I didn't start off just by saying, yeah, you know what? So it's all about, my voice was high. I said, ooh, it's a movie. It's a journey, right? So it makes people draw in. Just like when you're watching a movie, you will notice that music starts getting louder, and something suspenseful is about to happen, right? So when you're thinking about starting your journey, starting your story, put it in that kind of aspect. Say, I want to make the beginning very interesting, so I grab their attention. Then I want to lull them in, and then all of a sudden I want to bring it up, right? So let's say, give me a subject, any subject, and I'll show you an example. Give me an item or anything that I've never heard.
Goldfish. I don't know.
Let's go with goldfish.
Random.
There we go.
Random, very random, but
So-
but go with it.
Here we go. All right, I got you. Here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to say it's the funniest thing that happened to me the other day, but one of probably the weirdest things. I was walking down the street the other day. All of a sudden, I saw a little glistening from the sun reflect off the sidewalk. And I looked down, and it was a goldfish. First off, hold on. Why is there a goldfish on the ground? But it wasn't in a glass. It was flopping. And the first instinct for me was like, this thing needs some water. So I'm looking around now, and I'm panicking, and I'm looking, and I saw a faucet over by my neighbor's house. And I ran over there, put a little bit of water in my hand. I kept running back and forth. And I was like, why don't I just take the fish over to the faucet? So I picked it up, ran it over to the faucet, kept running water over it until someone walked by. And then we got a glass, and we saved that goldfish. The end.
Bravo.
Amazing.
See, you created that suspense. You created the movie. It made people stay like, oh, it's a goldfish? Did he save it? Why don't you just take the goldfish over this? They're involved in it versus just listening to me.
Love it. And I've got a sort of a two-part follow-up to that. First of all, when you're sort of explaining this to the people in your academy, and that are they thinking, oh yeah, I get that now. It hadn't crossed my mind before, but I can kind of see where that comes. But the second part of it is you look like you've been doing this all your life. What's the sort of the learning curve for some people who know that's what they're trying to do, but the reality is it still sounds a little bit mundane, or they find it hard to express themselves?
Yeah, I get that a lot because people haven't unlocked that part of their mind, in essence. They've been so societal kind of normed out. And there's a couple of ways I kind of work to break that. Two things. Most people have seen a matrix. I say, hey, here's a red pill. Here's a blue pill, right? We're going to break what you normally are thinking of. So you can become creative. And so here's the question I ask to do that. And it's something that most people are familiar with, at least more that I know of in American culture. And I'll ask someone, what is your favorite type of food? Doesn't matter. Let's just say it's steak. Let's just say steak. Or if you're a vegetarian, it's salad, okay, or a leaf, whichever one. Then I would say, imagine that you're sitting at a table with four strangers. You do not know them. Your food is sitting in front of you, and one of them just got up and started blowing on your food. Nothing ill will, it's not mean spirited, they just blow on your food. And I asked them, what do you do with the food? Most people say, oh, I'm not eating that. No way. I said, why? Because they just blew on my food. I said, okay, now let's take the same scenario. Nothing changes except the item that you're about to eat. That same person gets up and they blow on a birthday cake. What do you do? And everyone says, oh my goodness, I eat it. Why? Because we were conditioned that it's okay if they blow on candles, even though it's the same amount of germs, right? So then at that moment, they kind of see, oh, yeah. And it unlocks that part of their brain for all that imaginary. And they can now start to formulate the stories and see how to kind of think outside of the box.
Lovely. Thanks for that.
Great.
Yeah.
Did you have a second question, Mark, or was that?
No, I think that two part there kind of filled it in.
No worries. No worries. So obviously, when you create your podcasts and creating thought-provoking content, obviously is a challenge. Coming up with ideas, what do you want to talk about today, especially if you've got a regular podcast, and it is difficult for people to just come up with these. So how do you approach researching for a particular item? How do you prep for a podcast episode that's going to deliver some valuable insights to your audience?
Yeah. So it was a challenge for me at first. Number one, it was a challenge because I initially started bringing on guests and trying to find guests, and it started burning me out and thinking of prepping for the next episode and so forth. And then it came to a point where I was just like, you know what? I just want to talk. So now my episodes went solo. I'm just going to talk. And occasionally I will bring on a guest. And now I'm just sharing ways that I have personally started to redesign my life. Whether it's, hey, you know what? If I'm burnt out at a corporate job, here are some steps that I took. And that's all I did is I said, I'm going to talk and tell people about my life. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, today I said I'm redesigning my life, and I just went and sat at the beach all day. I took my phone and put it away. I didn't care. So it's all about just now expressing things that happen in my life that have helped me either currently or in the past to focus on redesigning my life. So I tell people, when you are trying to find episodes or you're trying to find content to do, stop thinking. You're thinking about everything. And you can also use some AI to generate content ideas, sure. But just tell people about what's going on in your world, right? Tell people about your struggles. I am very authentic. Ladies and gentlemen, I had the hardest time coming up with an idea for today's episode. So guess what? I'm winging it. People are still receptive. They understand. Guys, listen, I just got off work and I'm tired, but I still deserve an episode, or you still deserve an episode. So I'm here. I'm showing up for you. And they understand. So just be authentic, be honest, and be open to sharing parts of your life that I think people are attracted to more.
And I think it's so great you found your podcasting groove. You found what feels natural, works for you, you feel comfortable with, which
Yeah.
obviously shines through for the audience because then they can connect to you and they're not, it's authentic, which you were speaking of earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm curious now that you're in this place, what has surprised you about finding that along with this podcasting journey, finding that groove? How has that changed how you view podcasting or how you teach
Yeah.
podcasting and share what you share? I'm very curious.
Yeah, it definitely changed some things and made me reflect and look at things differently because number one, you would not think podcasting is work, right? People think you just get on the mic and that's it. But there is research, especially for some people who can't just to maybe do an episode. They've got to research because they've got bigger sponsors, they've got things that they've got to incorporate. Timing, they got to put their messages inside their podcast at certain times. You've got to send that episode to the sponsor. So there's a lot more things that go into it. But the thing that I think helped me focus and change is the fact that I started getting responses from people. And it showed that my words were affecting someone. Someone would maybe send me a message and say, hey, you know what? My son or my daughter has an autoimmune disease. And, before that, we didn't think about sharing it. We thought it was a bad thing. Or, for an example, my son's podcast is called ADHD is My Superpower. So we took something that initially he would get bullied on, or he felt like, I don't want to deal with this, and we showed him how it could become his power. Son, let's talk about it, right? And so we started sharing his days at school, friends he started meeting. We started sharing hard times, and we would get messages. Hey, I let my daughter listen to that episode, and your son said this, and it made them feel stronger, right? So I think that's a perspective that made me say it was worth it. Keep going. People are listening.
And that's such a beautiful thing because you never know what message somebody needs to hear. It's like if you
Yeah.
can affect one person, but you may be affecting multiple people. And I think that's fantastic that you've taught that to your son. So
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm curious, sort of following from that in terms of the personal element, and this comes out of an experience I had recently. My wife, we're both musicians, and she was at a concert, and she was working with someone that we've worked with over the years, many times, and they were having dinner together, and he said, "Oh." He's sort of asking her about my podcast, and he said, "Oh yeah, I absolutely love it. I follow it through. Has some great guests." And when my wife relayed this back to me, I was kind of like, oh, that's someone that I know outside of the podcasting world and my kind of content world, in my musical world, who's actually engaging and part of it. And I suddenly, since I've been recording and doing content since then, I'm really sort of feeling it differently because there's someone that I actually know in that way coming across. So I'm curious, from what you were just saying there in terms of what you've been sharing with your son, are there people within the school that know about the podcast that are listening, sort of people that you sort of have that sort of day-to-day kind of contact, and are you sort of aware of that, and how do you sort of frame that in terms of what you might share on the podcast or what you might not share, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. And kind of like you said, when you found out about that person, your energy just it went to a different place, right? And so we formulate some of that to help him, right? If he's doing an event, maybe there's something that's happening at school. Well, now we get to also share that. He told me he went to school once he was on the news, and the kids started asking him for his autograph and stuff after they saw him on the news and stuff like that. So we definitely use those things to framework within a podcast, right? We've now learned how to use it to also drive things towards anything personal that's happening in our lives, right? Maybe our business. It's like a lead magnet in some ways. We get to share people and ask them to join us in our journey. Maybe send us pictures, whatever whatever else it is that we want to incorporate. So we frame it so that it benefits our goals that we're working towards, because we know that people people that we don't know are listening. So we also are careful on some things. We keep it kind of I don't want to narrow. We don't get into politics. We don't get into other things like that. We want it fun, and we want to make people feel good.
I love that. I think being intentional, which is what it sounds like you're doing, and I think that's such a
Yeah.
key thing.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned, and we've heard that obviously your podcast focuses on and sharing a lot of positive and powerful stories. Is there one particular story that's had a lasting impact on you?
Ooh, wow. I have to go and search the memory bank on that one. 1 second. Ding. Okay, got it. Uh, yeah, so probably one of the most powerful stories is when we did an episode, my wife and I, because we do a relationship kind of podcast as well. And we talk about, so that's not my redesign one, it's on our relationship one. And someone wrote in and they told us, they said, hey, you know, I thought you guys were so perfect and everything. Because we tell people, hey, we just had an argument, but here's how we resolved it. Here's what we did. And she said, I did one of the steps that you said, and I approached my husband with it. and we have changed and kind of like flipped everything around. And for example, what we said was usually when people want to get into an argument, one person wants to leave, right? Because they don't want to argue. And then one person's like, no, we need to talk about this right now. And we said, if someone just showed that person that, here's how you say it. I understand that you really want to have this talk right now. I need a few moments just to calm down, but I promise you, we will talk about this tonight. Now you're reassuring that person that their feelings are validated. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not just going to walk out. Just give me a few moments to gather my thoughts. And she said she went to her husband and kind of said that. And ever since then, their disagreements changed and they communicate in a different way. So it made us feel like, wow, right? Not that we directly saved a marriage or anything, but, I think that was a very impactful moment for us to know that our words were really affecting someone.
I think it's amazing that you can put something out there that's deeply personal to yourselves and clearly resonates with other people. And it must give you such a great feeling to know that, as you said, whatever you're creating, whatever you're putting out there is touching somebody, is helping somebody, is influencing somebody in a positive way. And I think that's the great thing about the community and the things that we all do, is that if we can create something that resonates with somebody and maybe changes somebody for the better, then that's a very positive and wonderful thing. And with all your experiences in podcasting over the years, is there common mistakes that you see new creators making that could be easily avoided? Do you have some advice for people who just want to start out with podcasting? Because we know it's still big. Video podcasting, audio podcasting is still big out there. Mark's had a long-lasting podcast for many years. But what's sort of your take on creators and what mistakes do they make that could be easily avoided?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I would say is stop trying to compare and be big right away, right? We've had our podcast for 5 years now. And when we first started off, we just started it for fun. We were just like, let's talk, nothing else to do. And as things started growing, we started growing. Right? But most people I hear, they're like, I got to get sponsors. How do I get sponsors? How do I get paid? How do I get... And it's like they rush the process. You have to enjoy it. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes. Another thing is be intentional kind of about what your goals are. Write your goals down and then start working towards them. And stop sharing links without content or context. Right? I see so many people, they'll share a link and expect someone to just click on it and automatically start listening to their podcast. They don't know you. They don't know what it's about. People want to listen and like people they know. So give them a chance to get to know you. That's probably the couple of mistakes I see people make right away. They just rush it and they expect the vanity goals to come. I'm not getting as much likes. I'm not getting people to listen to me. How long have you been doing it? A month? Okay, hands up.
I think a lot of people, and I guess it's a generational thing where we're living in an age where people expect external validation. That's the way that they get their sort of, it's valid. I've got 1 million likes now on a particular podcast or an Instagram post or something, and it's this external validation without either, as you said, either being intentional, providing some meaningful thoughts or value to an audience, and then expecting you to be found within this sea of people that are just out there and been doing it for years. As you said, you've got to resonate with people and you will find your audience. As you mentioned before, you have to start off small and have an intent with what you're actually trying to convey. It's no use just sitting down in front of a microphone and winging it every time. When you're a seasoned podcaster like yourself and Mark, then you've got more, I guess, leeway to be able to do something of your own without specifically having a script each time. And with that in mind, looking ahead to your podcast and your academy, what's your plan in terms of growing and impacting more lives with your podcast? And do you have any exciting plans that you can share with us with regards to what you want to do in 2024 and beyond?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. And one of the things that I did is um, every once in a while I kind of have to take a little small break for myself, and I tell people you kind of need to do that, right? So you don't get that burnout. And so sometimes what I would do is I'll do like a batch recording. I'll record like maybe 2-3 months of episodes, for example, in a short period of time, and then that way I can structurally put them out. So now I can just go vacation, I can rest, and tell people, hey, don't get burnt out. You need to do that. So on my resting period, I was thinking about that. What's next? What do we want to do? And so now what I plan on doing is building a family show, right? A family kind of podcast. We all have our separate podcasts, but I want to do something because my son's getting older now, so he understands it a little bit more. We all want to do kind of like this where we sit down and turn it into like a little studio show type of a thing. Going to take some more planning to do that, but that's the idea and the goal with it. And again, we still encompass each one of our shows into leading into something else. So in my show, I'm going to tell people, hey, check out my academy if you're wanting to do something similar or grow in it. And so that's how I've been trying to grow the academy. And by doing that, now with the academy, what I truly want to do is just get to a point where I can stop it. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but I can stop it or just have it on sort of an autopilot because I want other people that I've worked with to do it themselves. Right? I want someone to say, hey, I learned how to do this. Let me go forth and teach others to do it themselves. So I think that's where I want to end at with this portion of it, the academy.
Very good. You use Ecamm, as we all do. We're all here because of Ecamm and the great community it's created and the tool that we use for our day-to-day video and podcasting workflows. For the audience, are there any tips and insights that you could offer them to make or to get the most out of Ecamm? Any particular workflow? I know you mentioned at the beginning there's a tip that you had, but other than what you mentioned to us earlier in the pre-show, is there any tips and tricks that you would say, I'm just starting off new with Ecamm? Because obviously you do a lot of training for newbies, people who've just signed up to Ecamm and started using it. So out of the experience you've had, any tips and tricks you'd like to share?
Sure. One of the first things I share when I talk to someone at Ecamm, I tell them, hey, sign up for it, and I'll work with you a little bit if you need some help. Is do not worry about getting overwhelmed. There's so many things you can do. Pick 2 or 3 things, and that's it. I was talking to someone the other day and showing them I have like 4 different profiles. I have 30, 40 scenes and my panel, whatever, all of this stuff. And they looked at it and no. Just breathe, right? Pick 2, 3 scenes, pick something simple, start with it, perfect those, get those down, and then you can start to learn more of the advanced stuff and incorporating some of that into different shows and different ideas and all of this kind of stuff like that. So I guess one way I say, this is my thing, I say like this, right? So when they say, ooh, I want to try this, I want to do that, I go, no. Oop, no, you don't. No, you don't. No. Right. So, right, just keep it simple. Keep it simple.
I love the way that you incorporate all these artwork and little mini lions, if that's the right term, into your production. It just adds that element of fun and wonderment to your Ecamm live production. And anyway, I wanted to thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to wrap up now. And if you'd like to stick around, of course, we've got the quiz. We've got all kinds of other bits and pieces. You're very welcome to stay in the green room, but otherwise you can join us from afar. Joining the quiz, you've got to beat some people. They are very, very quick on this quiz. I don't know how they do it, but there's consistent winners. Exactly. No. But anyway, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, Lion. Thank you for sharing some of your insights, your stories. We wish you the best of luck with your academy and whatever happens in 2024 with your podcast. And we'll keep listening to you. And thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
So just in case you hadn't come across Lion before, you can find him on all these places and more, I think is safe to say. So yeah, do go in and check him out, and you'll see him very much in the Facebook group and all those places for the community. So yeah, fantastic. What a fantastic conversation and what an inspiration. And well, it's why we set this up, and it's why I love it so much. Just learning so much from so many people. Just amazing.
Indeed. Wonderful.
Really great.
So let's have a little chat and see who's in the chat rather. So good to see George. Thank you for being here. I would imagine you're just warming your finger up ready just before we start to get ready for the quiz. and a very good point there in terms of the virtual backgrounds. Yeah, I thought that was fascinating. Just seeing that background move. What a great idea. I've never actually seen that before in looking in that particular way. I really enjoyed it. Roy, great to see you. Really appreciate you being here. Hi, Keith. Fantastic. Really good. Loads of people in here. Brilliant. All chatting away. Really like it. Fantastic. Eileen, brilliant. Thank you so much for being here. So I think we're probably ready to have a look at a little bit of merch on the perch. Let's see what we've got this week. So, Neil, I think this one is yours.
It is indeed. So this is taken from my balcony. It's a sunny day today, as you can see. And this little object, which I think is a tricycle, was left to us when we first moved into our house here in Portugal. And I thought, well, that looks very empty and alone today. So complement it with a mug, your very special Ecamm mug that we all know and love. And I thought, well, I'll just put it on there and take a picture, and it looks good. And Lisa suggested that I should be putting a plant in there instead. But, you know, Ecamm mugs are pretty good, and that's the way I look at it. So that's my merch on the perch for today.
Very nice. And we must remind everybody, please do send your stuff in, because we'd love to be able to share yours as well. But we're having quite a lot of fun actually doing ours too. So the second one, this is mine. So you can kind of see I sort of previewed my bag last week. This has got some funny lines on it, I think just because of the way it was captured and the way we've used it on the stream. But I was at an education conference last Friday at the University of Bedfordshire, and there were various different stalls and different people displaying things. And so this was one particularly to history and workshops in history. So I thought just to show that it's not just all about tech and it's not just all about new things. We have all manner of history and helmets and all things related to that. So yeah, that was my merch on the perch for this week. And the last one, Lisa, I believe is yours.
Yeah, that's mine. Like I said, I went to Napa for my birthday and enjoyed the grapes, as I said. And I had my hat by the pool. Keep the sun off.
Love it. I love it. So are we ready for the most important part of the fortnight? I think we probably are. It's quiz time. So just before we start, we need to make sure that everyone's aware. All we want you to do is to put the answer in the chat, A, B, C, or D. First person with the right answer will, again, win whatever it is that eventually we get round to doing, but we already know that George has probably passed already. But here we are. Here is question number 1. What dates are Creator Camp this year, 2024? Is it A, October 15th to 18th, October 22nd to the 24th, that's B, C, November the 5th to the 7th, or D, November the 12th to the 14th? I'm sure everyone is aware. If you were here at the beginning of the show, I think we even previewed it as well. So yes, in the chat, please, A, B, C, or D. And also, if you're thinking of going, do let us know as well, because it'd be great to know who may well be there at that particular time and who's going to be enjoying it as well. So yes, as soon as you're ready, let us know. And not surprisingly...
I'm laughing.
Who is the first person?
Mr. George.
It is George.
Really? Really, George?
I'm pleased to say that everyone's aware of what's going on and everyone has the same answer.
Marcus
the question is
great.
it correct? That's the question. Is it actually the same? Well done, Roy. Excellent. Does that mean you're not able to go?
No, he has an
Oh,
understanding
no,
wife.
no.
Oh,
Well done,
Wow.
George. Whatever that secret is, could you possibly tell everybody? Because that's an absolute winner. Brilliant.
that's a new podcast
So-
in itself.
Yes, the question is, or the answer is rather, of course, it's October the 15th to the 18th. Absolutely fantastic. And so, love this. And so, of course, you're a winner. You're a winner.
What was that?
We were just joking with you,
That's
George.
what-
We're just messing with you.
Of course, you're right, George. It's just my dodgy finger
on top
going
of you.
through.
Eileen wants to know
You're
how
off
many
the top.
years you guys have been married. George.
Yeah, tell us, George. How many years is it? How many years has she been supporting you in this Ecamm world of of what you've been doing and various other things that you may have done? Yeah, do let us know. Okay, question number 2.
So how many Zoom guests can you have in Ecamm for Zoom beta? Is it A, 18, B, 10, C, 8, or D, 12?
Ooh, it's an interesting question.
Neil, do you know?
Yes, I wrote the question.
And you've done it.
I know, I'm messing with you. And you've been using it a lot.
I have. I've been testing it a lot. Yes. Yes.
I'm more interested in knowing whether George has had to go to ask his wife how many years it is, or whether he doesn't know
Oh.
and doesn't want to get into trouble.
Yeah, I think so.
No,
I
he hasn't
think
answered that
might be
yet.
the last one. No, he hasn't. And I had a question for Eileen. Is Eileen going to create a camp? Because I know the majority of the people that are on the show today in the chat are actually going.
Yeah.
I know Roy is
Yeah.
going and so on. But yeah, Eileen, are you coming to join us at Creator Camp? It'd be nice to meet you in
Yeah.
person.
Let us
In
know.
person, exactly.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of answers coming in. George says it's C. Marcus says it's C. And Marcus, of course, you are right, I think. But were you the first person? So,
Yes, the answer is C.
of course it is C. But again, not surprisingly, George is our winner.
Ah,
Of course he is. Of course he is.
And he's answered
Brilliant.
the question.
He has.
Guys.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
26 years.
oh,
Bravo.
congratulations, George.
Congrats.
26.
to you.
Very good.
My wife.
Too many.
Oh, love that. Fantastic. Brilliant stuff. Oh, you crack us up. It's brilliant. Okay.
Wonderful.
Quiz question number 3.
Origin is the oldest lion ever to survive, and how long did he live for? Was it A, 15 years, B, 20 years, C, 25 years, or D, 29 years? And apologies to Origin if you're still alive. I've got your name mispronounced. But there you go. Anyway,
I don't think he's gonna write in. I think
Yeah.
he'll be all right.
do you don't think he's
think
going to
you're
write in?
okay.
You don't think he's going to be a fan of the show?
Yeah.
No. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good then.
I
great.
think we're all right.
That's great. So it's an interesting, tricky question. No, I don't get out much. Okay.
Oh dear.
Oh, yeah.
I love this. This is Marcus was the first person to answer.
Guessing blindly. You just have to press the button before the question is asked, Marcus. That's the only way to get ahead of George, I think, now.
And I think that's the only way we're going to do it. So, I mean, bearing in mind, not necessarily many people will know the answer. The actual answer is 29 years. It was D. So, I'm really sorry, and it's not very often that we get to do this.
Oh.
Normally, it's a win for George, but sadly, this time, we give him a smile, a cry.
Oh, dear.
Oh dear. Sorry, George. What? But thank you for answering anyway. And
Yeah.
very, very good.
Where's the drums?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
George
you
will
go.
be here all week.
brilliant stuff. And yeah, if you just send your invoice in for the gags, we can add you to our writers list, and it's going to improve the show no end. I think that'll be absolutely
Absolutely.
fantastic. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so thank you everyone for taking part in that. I think, was that 2 right for George or 1 right for George?
I think it was 2 right for George.
2 right for
Yeah.
George,
Yeah.
which
We
probably
just,
makes him.
just say George.
So we got 2 shows left in the season. So well, I don't want to say it's unassailable for people to take part, but if someone gets 3 in each of the next 2 episodes, then it might be a little bit close there for the actual. No, okay, no. It's
Yeah.
So
We need
George,
to double up the questions. I think we need to have like 20 questions now in
Okay.
order for people to
Fine.
bypass George. George is on a
Okay.
winning streak.
So maybe we
Yes.
can't just think it in just yet. Maybe George, if you write maybe the first 2 lines of your address getting ready, then we'll be able to do that.
Send in your bank details, George, and we'll make sure we'll get something over to you.
Yeah.
Oh, it was 2. See, George, just making sure that we're keeping count.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Very
George.
good. Very good. Keeping us honest. That's what I like. Too many things going on. Okay. Should we have a creator showcase?
Why not?
Indeed. All right, everybody. So this week's Creator Showcase is the amazing Marty Chan. Marty is an award-winning author and playwright. He was in theatre, radio, and television before turning his hand to children's literature. He's now able to fulfill his lifelong dream of encouraging young people to read and write for pleasure. He entertains audiences of all ages by sharing his passion for language through storytelling, comedy, humour, and stage magic. So you can find everything about Marty at martychan.com. I never realized he did all that. Amazing. So thanks, Marty.
Yeah, incredible,
Very
isn't it?
impressive.
Incredible.
I know. Very impressive.
So George has said he'll get his address starting on his way, and also George, when you said you were going to sign up to be a guest in the autumn, so do make sure you do that as well. I'm not sure I've seen that crop up yet, so apologies if that's not true, and if you haven't done it yet, please do. We'll get to how you can get involved and all that in just a second. So our next guest, Phil, in a fortnight's time is. It's going to be Tatiana Rodriguez, and you, Neil. We were on a Zoom call with her and a few other educators the other day, weren't we? It was fantastic. What did you make of that?
I mean, it's just great to see so many educators together and sharing ideas around sort of teaching practices and tools that they use and so on. So I think it's just the first of a monthly meetup, I think, and there's going to be more people joining. But it's just a great way of sharing the knowledge and how people just use Ecamm and Zoom and other tools to educate people remotely. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be learning a lot.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I think what I love the most is just the way that this group of sort of Ecamm, the sort of heart of everything that's going on, all these groups that are just sort of starting around it, people getting involved in their own specialist areas, but just with that love of Ecamm and the chance of being able to support each other through it in whatever. Like, say, Marty was on there before using sort of showing bits of green screen, taking books out of his kind of weird sort of world that wasn't quite visible, and his book came out
like
of
a
nowhere
virtual
using the
thing.
green
Yeah,
screen.
it's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah, it was amazing. So many different things, and it's just really interesting to see people's imagination and how they're using it and how they're sort of bringing it to life for their particular use case. And yeah, and certainly for me as well as an educator, seeing how that's doing, it's given me loads of ideas and yeah, lots to think about and ponder as we head into the summer.
Definitely.
So for those people who are wanting to know how to get involved and what to get involved with, of course, this is what we're really after. Same as always, we'd love you all to be a guest because we're just here to celebrate what you're doing on Ecamm, how you are part of the fam. Yeah, tell us your story. Every show's different, every story is different, and we just want to sort of share and promote that in the best way that we possibly can. We're loving doing our merch on the Perch, but we'd really love to be able to have your pictures coming in whatever shape that happens to be, in your garden, at home, when you're at work, whatever it happens to be. Take a quick selfie, take a quick photo, and then we'll be in good shape to share that for everyone as you go through. So you can do it from our link tree. You can get in touch. You can use the QR code there. Tell us about your show. It's really what we want to be able to do: help, promote, and support you in any way that we can. And of course, you can find us at Creative Amplifiers everywhere on YouTube and Instagram. Yeah, and do make sure that you're keeping up to date with everything. You may have seen, was it last week or was it the week before, we did a little impromptu live, a little recap. So tell us a bit about that, Lisa, because that was your idea, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, we decided we're going to do a little recap show here and there and make it into a regular thing eventually. But we just kind of go back and review the shows that we've been doing and some of the highlights that were said and what we can add to the conversation. So check that out the next time we pop on. We didn't do it formally of announcing we were coming on live, but just look for the notification if you're following us and join in because it was fun. It was a fun thing to do.
It was good. It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just getting our own ideas and putting our own spin on things. So yeah, more to come on that, definitely.
Exactly. And it's all we're
Yes.
doing anyway most of the time when we're in our meetings is chatting about what's going on, what we thought, what we could do next, what we could plan for season 2 and beyond and everything as well. So so yeah, we're just sort of letting you in on it really and taking
Right.
it forward from there. So brilliant. I think we're pretty much to the end of our show. Thank you very much, Lion, for being a fantastic guest. Really appreciate it. Thank you for staying around. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to George. As always, you are the not unexpected star of the show. You are the expected star of the show, and you just keep coming and keep delivering the goods, which we absolutely love. Thank you to everybody else as well. And as I said, keep an eye out because we may be popping up at some point between now and a fortnight's time. But if not, we will see you then for another wonderful conversation. Thank you so much indeed.